Alright, so this will be part 7 of 8 of this short story series. It's almost coming to a close, but the title is Saturday Came, Though It Chose to Swallow Me Whole. And it goes something like this. Are you willing to share? After all this time, I've been rewarded with more questions and a heart more lost than it was before. At least someone found it, mended it, and had the decency to return it. Stipulation or not, I have nothing to go off of, though, anymore. And it feels so close. And yet it feels farther than it has ever been before. This answer that I've been waiting for in the letter that I had crunches in my hand instinctively as I hold it tight. And angry tears, they won't stop. And even if I can't cry them out outside of my eyes, they remain locked in my brain as they drown everything out aside from all that just happened. This girl, some enigma of turmoil, forces me to make these decisions between being human and co-signing my vital organs. It's wrong. It's strange. It doesn't make sense. Even if I choose to accept that I am making the decision rather than being forced, the situation doesn't change, and the letter burns my hand to the point where it scalds me, and I drop it and grip my wrist to cut off the circulation, hoping that it would make it stop hurting. I'm not sure if that helps or not, but it feels right in the moment. It doesn't, though. Instead, I watch the crumpled letter fall away from me. It's my first time surveying the ground since I came to, and after this freak free fall with this girl, this city has fallen apart. In fact, the city, in its grand picture of grays and whites, has now become a flat land. The ground is tarnished with oils and colors that don't belong. On what appears to be pavement, pieces of city are floating all around me into the far reaches of the sky. I reach out for it because it feels comfortable. Though the girl seems like an enemy now, she's somehow still comfortable. She had my heart. Of all people, I wouldn't have guessed. It was the silhouette of someone I think I knew from so long ago. It feels dangerous to entertain the question too long with all sorts of things twirling around in my mind, and I pull my jacket off my chest tightly because the throbbing my chest, even though there's no heart there, it starts to beat all the more. It doesn't feel right to expose my lacking heart as I stare at the floating city as it floats away into ether. And as I pull it off, and as I expose the emptiness, as I expose the void, something feels wrong. She might be watching from some distant place, laughing as I vicariously use my hands to help my heart think. I have to think that it is, in fact, there if I want to accept all of this at all. I had it for a moment. And it feels like I have it now, even though there's nothing there. It just didn't feel like mine. It feels like I had rented it from someone who went to dry clean or wash it in hopes of bettering it rather than damaging it. I stopped watching the sky and I turned back to the ground. Why did I start this after all? Who have I become after coming this far? Am I supposed to be someone specific for someone? Or am I supposed to become someone better than I was before? What am I hoping for? What am I preparing for? Thoughts of violence fill my head, days of loneliness and days of heartache, days of crying until I slept, and even didn't sleep, days of wishing I could turn everything off, days of being yelled at and yelling at others, days of apathy, days of pain. These things burn inside of me, which not only burns my chest, but also continues to burn my hand, which I grip all the tighter as I hold the jacket closer, now covering and trying to cover all the more the hole that's there. I can't move my hand though, this is part of me. My hand means something to me. But this is where my heart belongs. I refuse to let it go. You have to, though. Otherwise, you will never be able to face what happens next. And stunned for half a second, I turn to see the man who had frequented my journey the most. He's different now. I don't know how to describe him, per se, but it seems like he's found some sort of peace and joy far greater than I can imagine, even from the last time I saw him. And I say I can't, though. All these things are too painful to release. If she or they or I or anyone knows anything, my heart may never return. It may never be the same. Don't you get it? Doesn't it make sense? Tell me. I've thought this through many times. And the man just smiled and shook his head. He laid a hand on my hand, gripping the hole in my chest, and pulled it upward, and forced me to open it, and revealed a different message that I had just read in the letter. Somehow the letter was back again. Will you allow me to write your story? Is what he said. I tried gripping my hand to ignore it, but failed. It's obvious that it wasn't the girl who wrote this. It's obvious this wasn't written by my own volition. I wouldn't want to surrender anything as precious as my heart to anyone. At least, not completely. What this question is asking is almost unthinkable. Truthfully, it is thinkable. I just don't want to think about it. Don't think about it, he says, though. Instead of flying that flag of misery, why don't you accept what you know will save you? You'd be surprised in all this, even though you already knew all this. You cursed him enough, haven't you? You've danced around him. You've kicked your feet in the air and your face turned blue as you tried so hard to complain and moan and groan, haven't you? And truly, enough is enough. Your stories of high fantasy, that's what they are. At best, high fantasy. And they're always incomplete. Choose the right story and the right author, why don't you? And with that, the odd companion, he faded away yet again, leaving me alone to stare at the hand that had been raised with a new message, and I tried gripping it yet again in some last hope of rebellion, to be independent and by myself, self-sufficient in some way, shape, or form. But it hurt. I tried holding my chest again, but it was too late. Everything was changing, and the letter I dropped had now grown to astronomical proportions. I may have died if this piece of burning paper had stayed with me on the ground. But it had made its way far into the sky with the rest of the city. It was far away. But I could tell it was big, and I could tell it was coming. It, along with the rest of the city. I rehearsed this before. Imminent threat. It's easy to stop, I think. I hold my arms out to stop the thing, the oncoming doom. It will listen if I tell it, if I think it, if I believe. And it doesn't help, though. Instead, I fall to my knees and I kiss the ground. Change. Feel better, mind. Do something, brain. Get up. Me. Do something. Do anything. Please. Do anything. And my body shivers violently because I know what comes next. I feel defeated. I've avoided this for a long time. But the man is right. The message is valid. In that form that the girl's letter, that wasn't supposed to help me, but it was supposed to remind me. It wasn't supposed to change me, but it was supposed to rearrange me. And it isn't simply about sharing. There's even more, even still. God, I say, I know you're there. You've been here the whole time, and you've been with me through this whole experience. I'm done parading away with my pain and masking my tears. Write my story, God. Only you can. And only yours will do. Everything fades away for a moment as I feel myself drifting, and it's weird. I couldn't picture myself sleeping during this trip, especially with a great heap of pain as it's about to hit me straight in the face. The pain is large enough to destroy me, and sleep feels like the last thing I should do right now. Stopping feels like the last thing I should do right now. Even when I first lost my heart, what felt like sleep felt like waking up inside my head rather than rejuvenating my tired frame. I've never experienced myself slipping into slumber like this, and it happens so unusually. Now, it feels like a feather. It feels like I've been dropped from somewhere up high, slowly, carefully, led into safety by someone or something. Let me tell you, it feels wonderful. It feels free. Sleep takes me.